100 baggers are good for your health. You know? The problem is that they don't come along that often. I wish they'd come along more often. It'd be even better for my health. And so, but the thing is that, I look back and they do come along, and in many cases, we're too dumb to see them. So, Satyam was one that I was able to ride. Of course, it happened at a time when I didn't have much of a net worth, and I had even less of an appetite for these, non-computer traded Indian stocks and such. But then, after that, I had another case where I made an investment in a shipping company, Frontline, and it was, undervalued, distressed, and all this stuff. And I think I bought at $7 and I sold at 11. And because I was just trying to play that arbitrage between the price of the ships and the net asset value. But that stock, Frontline, from 7, it went up to 150. And then it was issuing dividends which exceeded what I had paid for the stock. And that whole thing played out in about 4 or 5 years. And so that was at least a 25 bagger that I missed. There was another one, and this one I should have actually been more cognizant of, but it was complicated. So there was this company which was which had Marty Whitman on the board and had Sam Zell. And I don't know if you guys know, but Sam Zell is a grave dancer. Great guy to follow into different investments. So these two individuals had bought this dilapidated shell of a company which had huge amounts of NOLs. And it was an insurance company that had gone under and had a lot of NOLs. So they bought the public shell because it had those NOLs. And then they bought some barge company in Mississippi. Basically, the idea was to marry a profitable business to this NOL stream and make money off the tax savings. And then the barge company went under. It didn't do well. So they got more NOLs. Okay, so they got NOLs to the power of NOLs. Okay, and I had not invested a while. And then after that, they found a very unusual waste to energy company. So this company basically took waste and in this plant basically converted it into electricity. Almost everything was very high temperatures and such. And then they were doing a rights offering and different things, and that's when I saw it. And I was too dumb because I couldn't, just like Satyam, I couldn't believe the significance of the upside. I thought I must be doing something wrong with the numbers, because it was like John Malone's deals, it's just very hard to figure out. And so I had, I think, a double or a triple, and I moved out. And again, that was about a 20 bagger from there. And so, the thing is that there have been a few of these that have come along in the last 20 years. And I hope the next time, I know they'll come along, I hope the next time I'm smart enough to see it and ride it and put enough money behind it. So there's still time. We'll see if we can ride one of those properly.
There's hope for all of us.
Yeah. But those are good ones to study, and they do come along, and they're quirky, and they're special situations. But I think it's worth looking at them. Yeah.
Especially for the small investor, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was forced to file my first 13F this year. So, you can look up Mohnish's 13F or my 13F or a whole bunch of other 13Fs and see exactly what he may have bought when he might have bought it. I think that he will have maybe 100 baggers. I don't know. I think he probably will have more 100 baggers in his portfolio. I think there's it's very dangerous to speak about specific stocks that you own, especially when it's a potentially infinite audience, because the commitment consistency issues are so high. I would just share one thing with you, which is, so what you saw here is a guy who loves to play games with odds. And so he can't help himself. When he's looking at Mary Mauer stock market, 17-year cycles, he may not know the answer, but he's calculating probabilities all the time. What's the probability that this model of the world is true? And he has a very strong hunch that that model of the world is true. But let's say that you're like me, and you're less into playing games with odds. That's just fine. The fact is that if you apply the right investing philosophies, you can do extraordinarily well. And I would actually argue that for the vast majority of us, trying to get into those kinds of questions is actually going to mislead us First of all, because it's hard to do, but also because it's just not the way our minds work. There are very few people in the world who are wired to think probabilistically the way Mohnish does and the way some other people do all the time. What we have to do is find a way of investing, a way of implying these value investing tools that is consistent with who we are. And it's totally fine to be friends with other people but who do it differently, but to try and start looking at the world the way Mohnish looks at it, I'm going to get into trouble.